Hello, this is a quick experiment with the Ecoflow Wave 2. I got this refurbished, but it's running okay except for the display got garbled at some point. It was working when I got it, but display got garbled. It's cooling, it's taking 280 watts. We are in eco mode right now, and I want to see if I can utilize multiple XT60i ports. So the Wave 2 has an XT60i port. The Delta 3 Plus has two XT60i ports, and this is a LiFePO4 12.8 volt battery. I'm gonna see if the Ecoflow will accept charge on the XT60. Yep. No, are we plugging it? Yep. There we go. So this is connected XT150 to each other. This is an official Ecoflow XT150 extension extra battery cable. Okay, so I do not think it's taking charge because it's not, unless it's taking negative there. I don't know. I don't know if it's taking any wattage from the battery, but it might be because it's only 146 watts. But it's sort of canceling it out maybe. Let's check our app for the battery. It is discharging at 175 watts. So I guess the Ecoflow just doesn't tell me that it's taking that battery at 170 watts at 15 amps, 12.8 times 15, or well, essentially 13 amps. Okay, so that proves that we can charge. What if we turn this off? Will it then charge the Delta 3 Plus battery? It is. So it's now giving back, yeah, it's charging our Delta 3 Plus. However, what happens if we also put XT60i battery into the Delta 3 Plus in the back? Okay, so we now have a 25.6 volt LiFePO4 battery. And according to the app, we're still getting charge from the Wave. That is cool. It says the Wave right there, 130 watts. I'm guessing somehow we're losing a little bit of like 40 watts going from the Wave to the Delta 3 Plus. I don't know what we're losing here though, but we're gonna plug the 25 volt battery into the back of the Delta 3 Plus right now. It should come up as solar. Yeah, there it is. So now we're getting 500 watts in. And it seems like you can utilize at least two, but I'm gonna assume that you can use three. I'm gonna set up another third charging on the XT60 in a bit, but let's turn on the air conditioner. See what kind of wattage it would say is coming in. Oh, I heard the compressor kick in. Oh, there it is. So now we're on a deficit of about 100 plus watts. We're getting most of the energy from both of these batteries into the Delta 3 and into the Wave, but we're still inputting. I don't know how many you could say that is. I'm sure we are in the positive, right? I don't know if this is like, do we use 386 minus 200? Or are we inputting 500 and inputting 500 using 200 on the Wave and then take, positive 385? I think that's what, yeah, I think that's the case. Okay, I'm gonna set up a third charging charging connection here and see what happens. Okay. So, same setup as before. We're getting 385 watts in, outputting 141, 442 watts. And we have a Ecoflow River 3, and we're gonna output 12 volts out the DC port and plug it into the solar port or car port of the Delta 3 Plus. And here we are. We're taking in more. Hopefully it'll register. There it is. So with the Wave 2's XT60 and an XT150 cable into a Delta 3 Plus, you can have 3 XT60i inputs, it looks like. So XT60i here, XT60i here, and XT60i there. So 3 XT60i inputs. All, I believe, are MPPT capable. I believe this is like 400 watts max on the Wave 2. Keep in mind the Wave 2 has the XT60i on the body of the air conditioner, whereas the Wave 3 that has the XT60i on the optional battery attachment, meaning you cannot do this same setup on the Wave 3. 0% chance of doing that, because if you have the extra battery, you have this XT60 sort of small expansion cable there. I guess if you have the battery, then you can do this setup here. But oh, no, you can't, because you cannot connect it to a Delta 3 Plus. So you only have one solar panel capability on the Wave 3 if you have the extra battery. And if you don't have the extra battery, you connect it to a Delta 3 Plus, you get 2 solar inputs, that's your maximum. With a Wave 2, you have 3 solar inputs, or car inputs. That's an interesting quirk. And that is the extent of my testing. By the way, the Wave 2's water drainage system sucks. So I just put a little toothpick in there to force the water out, so that it breaks the water, the surface tension of the water, and makes it agreeable to coming out. I don't think that's safe, because you might be able to push the toothpick in there, but I'll figure out another solution later on. I suppose before we end this test, let's go on the Wave 2 and set it to maximum power and see what kind of wattage we're going to take from maximum power. Okay, it's 16 degrees. As you can see, the display is garbled on this. What can you do, huh? Okay, so I guess we should change the home screen type to this energy flow. All right, that doesn't help much, does it? Well, we're inputting 477 watts, we're outputting 100 watts. I guess the total is like 577 watts out of this, and that, right? I think. The small caveat is it looks like we're losing 40 watts coming from 50 watts coming from the Wave 2 going back into the Delta 3 Plus. I don't know why that is. Maybe that's conversion loss, but this directly connected to the Delta 3 Plus should give us 180. 12.8 times 15. I think that's 170 something watts straight there. But if it goes into the Wave 2, I think we're only getting 120 plus 130. Huh, interesting. I don't know how the Wave 2 determines if it's like I don't know if it's an XT60i or an XT60 port. Maybe it's thinking it's a car charger, and that's why it's only taking maybe how many amps? It was taking 13 amps when we checked the app. Anyway, long story. 3 XT60 inputs is pretty cool though. Okay, so I turned off the Wave 2, and you can see from the XT150 port we're taking 131 watts. 384 off that battery, which is pretty standard for 25.6 volts, and about 100 watts from the car charger from the River 3. So interesting. Output, we're getting total of 600 watts. We can improve that still by having higher voltage DC batteries and whatnot, but there's our total. We're taking 610 right now.